With only 4 weeks left in the NFL season, I'm looking for a little redemption this week. Oh hi, it's your old pal Dalby back for week number 14 in the NFL. Thank you for coming to check out the video. If this is your first time here, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can come back all the way through the NFL season. And don't forget, there's links in the description down below that are going to give you everything that you need to take my advice and turn it into an actual ticket on Sports Select by using game lines, by using point spreads, by using full lists of everything, again, at the links in the description below the video. Week number 13 was all about the underdog, taking risks on teams that promised great payouts, but only because it wasn't likely that they were going to win the game. Sometimes it pays off. San Francisco and Minnesota both got late scores to make me look good, not only covering, getting those points, but also just winning outright. But sometimes you end up looking silly, like when you pick Detroit to beat Baltimore and they lose 44-20. 2-1 against the spread is solid though, and so is 7-2 in last week's video in my straight up picks. If you follow me on Twitter or Instagram, then you know that I went 13-3 straight up for the entirety of week 13, and if you make sure you are following me on those social media platforms, that's where you're going to see all my picks for every game every week of the season. And for the record, now sitting at 135-57, 70% pick rate for the entire 2017 NFL season. All that said though, after going through all my picks from this season, there are a few teams that have managed to keep me guessing. With just 4 weeks left in the season, I wanted some redemption. I want to get those numbers up as high as some of the other teams I'm picking. So this week, it's all about teams that have given me trouble this season and putting them back in their place. Jacksonville has given me fits all season long. No one in their right mind expected this team to be 8-4 at this point in the season, solidly in the running for a playoff spot. A Jacksonville playoff berth is a thing we might actually see. No one expected them to lead the league in defense and rushing, yet here we are. On the season, I'm batting 500 picking Jacksonville to either win or lose, because so much of their season has been a roller coaster ride. Ups and downs, wins and losses, winning games that they should have lost and losing games you'd bet the farm on. As the season has gone on though, we're really starting to get a feel for what this team is actually capable of. And a big part of that, surprisingly, has been Blake Bortles, who has managed to find a rhythm to not lose games. He's still not an elite quarterback. If you've got Blake Bortles starting in your fantasy team, you're having a bad time. But by not throwing games away, he's become a modern day Trent Dilfer, doing just enough to let his team win games for him. Seattle obviously has the superior quarterback in this matchup in Russell Wilson, who has managed to run for his life despite a porous O-line that seems to want to see him dead. Last week, Seattle made Philly look bad. Made me look bad because I got that game wrong. But at the same time, in that game, Philly was getting pressure in on Wilson, who was just running like a track star to get away from it all. The Legion of Boom came to play, kept Philly to just 10 points, and a big win for Seattle at a time where they really needed it. But Jacksonville is stronger when it comes to getting pressure through to the quarterback, leading the league in sacks this year, and they're also leading the league in pass yards allowed as the #1 secondary in the league, meaning they're going to be able to get better coverage on those Seattle receivers, meaning Wilson is going to have to keep running, which gives more time for that front seven to get through and bring him to the ground. Or at the very least, force him to throw it away. I've got to give up 2.5 in this one to take the Jags against the spread. I think it's worth it though, because honestly, when I look at this game, I've got Jacksonville winning by 5 or 6. For the second week in a row, Cincinnati is at home, and for the second week in a row, they're going to be fired up on account of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Last week, it was getting ready for a big AFC North Division rivalry game. This week, it's just frustration. As amped up as they were to play Pittsburgh last week, losing that game that they were in the lead for so much of on a late second field goal with all the injuries and all the incidents that happened, you know that that's going to stick with Cincinnati, and if they can corral some of that energy, they can really take it out on Chicago. Now, they may be without Burfict, which is a huge blow to the defense, and they may be without Mixon as well, their running back, but we did see in last week's game on Monday night, Gio Bernard came back and was looking like the Gio you really wanted on your fantasy team a couple years ago. He was getting yards when he was given touches, which is something that actually should be even easier this week if they're playing against Chicago, because Chicago just in the top half of the league when it comes to stopping the run. For a defense that everybody wants to talk about rushing is not their strong suit. If Dalton and Green can reestablish the chemistry they had against Pittsburgh on Monday, they are going to wear down that Chicago secondary early and often. They should be able to build a cushion that even a traditional Cincy fourth quarter collapse can't ruin. Meanwhile, Chicago is reeling, coming off a loss to San Francisco. Yeah, I predicted it. That doesn't make it any better for Chicago. And this 3-9 team may just be poised to mail it in at this point. Don't get me wrong, NFL players come to play every week, but I just don't think they're going to have the same kind of hunger as if they were 4-8. or 5-7, or any other record that would be way better than 3-9. This might honestly be the only game all season that I'm comfortable giving up 5.5 points and getting Cincy for, but I'm definitely all in on Cincinnati in this game. What is left to say about Denver at this point? The first team in the history of the NFL to actually contract an allergy to the end zone failed miserably again last week against Miami. They've been flailing around in the shallow end of the talent pool since getting whooped by New York, the G-Men, in week 6 on national television in a game that Denver was basically told it was a gimme. Now they're on an 8-game losing streak that realistically could go all the way to 12 by the end of the season. My desire to pick New York in this game is based very little off of their win against Kansas City last week. It was a great win, it was a good comeback, but it was more about Kansas City continuing to collapse as a team than it was about New York, but they did have some flashes of brilliance as they've had for the last few weeks. Not everything is bleak in New York right now. Denver's gonna get Aqib Talib back from his suspension after the incident with Michael Crabtree in the game against the Raiders, but can we really say that him being out of the lineup is the reason Miami and Jay Cutler put up 35 points? Talib coming back is a boost, but Miami only put up 36 combined in 2 games against New York this season. Denver's 3-12-1 in their last 16 games against the spread, and I just don't see any way that that record doesn't get worse after this game against New York. New York only giving up half a point on the spread. It's basically a pick'em, and I'm picking New York all the way. Pools time, and this week I'm going with Indy, Mini, and Green Bay on the road, and I'm going to take both LAs again and top it off with Pittsburgh at home. And that's what I've got this week, but I want to know, who do you have? Leave it in the comments down below. What's your lock of the week? What is your upset of the week? And which pick do you think I made in this video that has no chance of coming true? Although keep in mind, doing pretty good so far. Leave in the comments if you want to see more of these videos. Make sure you subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter to get my picks straight up for all the rest of the games for week number 14 in the NFL. And I'll see you right back here after it's all said and done. I'm your old pal Dalby. See you in week 15. If you want to make sure that you're getting all the line spreads and game lists before anybody else, you gotta be an MVP. Follow the link in the description of this video to sign up with WCLC to get alerts, notifications, and emails directly to you with everything that you need to play.